We're back with the next step of the process of how God creates a masterpiece called you. So here we are. The potter takes the clay from the bag, he wedges it, he has to form it, and then he puts it on the potter's wheel and starts to give it shape. After he gives it some shape, a mug, a cup, a plate, a flower pot, whatever that shape is, right? He has to refine. He has to refine it, and then after he refines it, he adorns it, and now here we are in the process, step number 5. So after the potter has adorned the mug, after he has adorned it, it has a beautiful pattern. But the potter has to make sure that whatever pattern that he adorned the mug with, that those decorations stick, that it continues to look beautiful, that it doesn't melt off, that it doesn't flake off or start to chip or anything like that. So what the potter does, and if you are familiar with pottery, then you know what I'm talking about. The potter has to take the mug and put it in what's called a kiln. It's an oven. It's basically a oven. An oven is called firing the clay. He has to fire it. And when it's in the oven, it's being heated and it's all alone. It's isolated. It's isolated from the world. It's isolated from the other pieces of pottery. Some other pieces can be in the kiln, but what's happening is there's permanent changes that's taking place inside of this oven. The molecular structure literally changes the clay to where what was on it, it sticks and it stays. The name actually changes as well. It's no longer called clay. It's no longer called pottery. It's literally called ceramics. So after it's in the kiln and it comes out, the entire structure has changed. It looks different. That's because it's no longer clay, now it's ceramics. But it had to be isolated first. God must isolate you because what he has put in you, it has to be firm. You have to have a solid, firm foundation. Listen to Isaiah 48 and 10 again. It says, "See, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you." Watch this. "In the furnace of affliction." And this point of isolation, it was kind of hard for me to place because God doesn't isolate us in a perfect sequence. God doesn't isolate us just once in our life. God isolates us in different times of our life, but that isolation is necessary for your transformation. And we know that from the butterfly. The caterpillar goes into the cocoon, comes out as a butterfly. The isolation is necessary for your transformation. God knows how long he needs to isolate you. God knows exactly what he's doing during that time of isolation. Sometimes you could be in a lonely season of your life. But that lonely season, it won't last. But God is doing something. Don't despise the lonely season. God is doing something. He is the potter. We're the clay. God knows what he's doing in your life during those times of isolation. Okay? God has to make sure that what he's putting in you is being firm, that is being pressed down. That the word that you have hidden it in your heart. He has to make sure that he's getting his word in you, his character in you, and that those things stick so that when you come out of isolation, you don't even look the same. And people are going to really see and notice that God is doing a work in you. God is making a masterpiece called you. God knows exactly what He's doing in you and through you in your life. Don't despise those seasons of isolation because it's necessary for this process called life. This process of what God is doing. He's isolating you for a reason. Don't be discouraged. We all go through seasons of isolation. But God is doing something beautiful. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. You're going to come out of this season of isolation looking beautiful, looking like the masterpiece that God has created and ordained you to be. Make sure you subscribe because the next and final part of the process is coming soon.